Yep.
Uh, let, let's switch some gears here. Let me paint you a picture. Next year is 2025. So we are going to start seeing videos of how I'm going to read 25 books in 2025. I'm going to be even more badass here. I'm going to say I want to read 52 books next year, one book a week.
1 week, yep.
That one a week. That excitement, after the first few weeks, that excitement is going to go down because now the stress, the self-inflicted stress, is ruining my reading experience. And now, because that excitement is gone, the goal is not to read, the goal is to read 52 books a year. So I purposely and get through it. It doesn't matter if I remember it or even implement it. Forget remembering part of it.
Good.
So I purposely start reading shorter books, right? So that's, or as you said, I would start speed reading. So that's one way of doing it. If I come to you and ask you, help me fix this mindset. I want to stay excited for this task that I have taken, but it should not feel like work. What would paint me a picture of what someone who is of this mindset, and I know that there are people around us who are like that. Let's try to bring that out of them and then see if we can fix this. So I'm going to be that person for you. Help me fix that issue.
Yeah, it's funny that you bring this up because I'm actually right now, before we jumped on today, I'm in the middle of editing my video for how to set your goals for 2025 for reading, because we're all struggling with this. So here's what's in that video. I'll do the same thing with you. So the first thing we really need to do is think about what you've already read this year. You've read a handful of books, or maybe a lot, I don't even know. But can you identify the 3 best books you read this year? What would you say they are?
Never Finished by David Goggins.
Okay. Good book.
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot here. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, Storytelling.
Matthew Dix.
Matthew Dix, and Some Days Today. I finished that book as well.
Who's that last one by? That's someone I don't know.
Matthew Dix.
Matthew. Okay. All right. So this is good. So why are those the 3 best books you read this year?
I am a sucker for motivational stuff. So I like those 5-minute montages of Rocky or Rock or anybody else. And David Goggins is a living legend of that world. He's not just a 5-minute clip. And you can see that in his books. So I like that. Storytelling and Some Days Today. I listen to both of those books on Audible because in my mind, Matthew is a great narrator. And the content in his book is about storytelling. How do you remember the things that you do daily, and how do you transfer that into a story mode? And I'm trying to learn that because I want to use that to become a better communicator and eventually help me become a better speaker.
Yeah. So that's really good. So you know yourself well enough to know what you have really been moved by this year. Now the goal, before you turn to 2025 and say, I'm going to read 52 books this year, what are some better questions we could ask that would help you be in more books like those 3, right? Because we want you in books that really move you and help you with who you want to become, with your life's task, like Robert Greene would say, right? It sounds like right now your life's task is public speaking, storytelling, connection with humans, and so on. So the goal would be, instead of thinking, how can I read 52 books? What are 3 new books that are on your shelf that you've been putting off that you really want to read but haven't actually done so yet? Or 3 books that fall into the same criteria as those 3. And you might not be able to think of them on the spot, but that's a really great question to ask before you run off and set your 2025 goals.
Okay. That would be a great way to start, for sure.
Yeah. When I look at my books, I'm excited about all of them. And I've read most of them on up here, but there are some that I haven't read yet. And I've been putting them off. Either because they're too big, they're scary, I don't feel like worthy or ready for them, or who knows what, right? Or I just went to Barnes & Noble yesterday, saw a whole bunch of great books. I bought them, and now I'm excited about those. But the other one's still on the shelf, and it still means something to me. So I actually did this yesterday. I sat down. I'll grab one here real fast. So this is one of the books that's been sitting on my shelf. This is The Essential Kierkegaard. This is Soren Kierkegaard. It's his big work here. It's a 500-ish page book. It's sort of like the initial tome to existentialism, if you're into philosophy at all. And I've been meaning to read it for a few years, haven't. So for for me, I've identified that's one book that I'm going to read this year. And that's one of my goals is to really read that book well. And if I can go through 2025 at the end of the year and really understand Kierkegaard's work, I've got some extensive notes on this. I've written an essay or two about it, and I've really thought about this. And I can walk away at the end of the year much better versed in his work. I will be fulfilled. We're going back to that Aristotle term, eudaimonia. I will be fulfilled. This one book will do that for me, right? I think it's really important that we find that book or those maybe maximum 3 books that we know will fulfill us. And we should really give them weight and priority. And if it takes all year to really read those well, and not just read a Matthew Dix book, but read it well. Take notes on storytelling. Go to, subscribe to The Moth and listen to him tell his stories live. And actually go to a storytelling convention and apply what he's taught you and stand up in front of people and tell your story. Now you're reading well, right? Now you're reading well. And if you did that with just one book, at the end of 2025, you would be a storyteller. But if you read 52 books on storytelling and do none of that, all you'll have done is read 52 books.